guess I should probably make that year-end list. Yeah, I think I'll do that.
And so he found it in himself to finish his year-end best list, which might be an impressive feat if anybody gave a shit.
Year-end top 10 list. Okay, so we've been through a full year of movies, and I am ready to talk about the best of the best with you people who watch my videos for whatever reason. And I'm glad that you do. Now, there have been plenty of good movies this year, as my previous reviews of me giving praise to a lot of movies have probably shown you. So making a list for this year in particular was very hard. There are plenty of great movies that I really wanted to include on this list, and narrowing it down to just these 10 selections was really hard, which is not something that has been a problem in previous years. So that being said, even though I really hate it when top 10 lists do this, I'm afraid I'm going to have to include some honorable mentions. Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to include 5 honorable mentions because there were just so many great movies that came out this year that I really want to be on this list, but unfortunately could not be on this list. Those 5 movies are Frank, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Nightcrawler. Jake Gyllenhaal is terrifying! He's really terrifying! He's really terrifying! He's real. How to Train Your Dragon 2, the Lego Movie. Okay, with those out of the way, we can get to the actual list. So here we go. Here are the 10 best films of the year according to the opinion of a man on the internet who most people don't care about. So let's do it. Let's go. At number 10, we got one of the most criminally underrated films of the year, Edge of Tomorrow. This movie was great. I feel like this was the summer of fun movies because we got a lot of movies that, you know, they're not like some high spectacle of filmmaking, but they're still fun, and in the end that's what they're trying to be, and that's what they are, and we love them for it. Edge of Tomorrow did horribly in theaters, and that is not fair because it didn't have a fair chance. It had to go up against The Fault in Our Stars, you know, one of the biggest movies of the summer, you know, at least when you're looking at the terms of how much money it made and all that stuff. And it really did have a terrible marketing campaign. Edge of Tomorrow really didn't have that good of a chance to shine, and that is a shame because it was a damn fun movie. Tom Cruise gave, you know, a better performance than he's given in a lot of recent movies, and Emily Blunt played an awesome character. And, you know, it was really cool, and it was really, you know, it had a lot of humor in it, and so it was a really good movie. And I am really upset that more people did not see it, and people are only talking about it now, you know, like after the fact, at least in, you know, a wide sense of things. And it's a shame, because this movie was good, and that's why it's on this list. Coming in at number 9, we got another fun movie. This time it's animated, and it's about superheroes, and it's really cool because it's based off a Marvel comic book that's not that good, and they made it into a really good animated movie, so I'm happy about that. Thank you, Disney, for buying Marvel. Not something I thought I would have ever said. So obviously at number 9 we have Big Hero 6. This was a great movie. It had a lot of heart, it had a lot of character, it had a lot of humor, it had a lot of cool action, it had a lot of good animation. I'm really looking forward to picking this one up when it comes out on Blu-ray because this is the type of movie that I could just watch over and over again. I plan to rewatch Big Hero 6 quite a bit because there are just so many good elements to it. Coming up after Big Hero 6, we've got a movie that I've actually rewatched quite a few times since it came out so early in the year, Grand Budapest Hotel. Now, I'm a big fan of Wes Anderson, and I was really happy that this movie pleasantly surprised me, because I went in it with pretty much no expectations other than the fact that it was a Wes Anderson movie, so I knew it was going to be at least entertaining. But I did really love the characters, I loved the way it was shot, I loved the humor, and Wes Anderson's never going to make a bad-looking movie, and this certainly wasn't one of those. This was a great-looking movie, and just so many elements about it just came together so perfectly to create a movie that I really, really, liked, and I really admire the way it looked, the way it was made, the way, the way it was acted, the way it unfolded. I really loved so many elements about this movie, and that's why I remember it, even when I'm writing my list towards the end of the year, and this came out, towards the beginning of the year. It is a great movie that everybody should go check out. Coming in at number 7, we got a movie that was legitimately terrifying to the point where I had to sleep with the lights on, because this movie... This movie. So for number 7, I'm talking about The Babadook. Now, this is an Australian horror movie that, came out in Australia, and now it's sort of slowly starting to make its way over here in a very few theaters. Hopefully it gets a wider release, because I really want the experience of, seeing this in a theater, which would be awesome, because this movie is just... This is legitimately one of the best horror movies that has been made in the past few years. This is a horror movie that does, away with all those stupid horror movie conventions. There are no jump scares. There's none of that stupid crap that is in modern day horror movies that really ruins modern day horror movies. This is an honest, this is just a well-made, well-acted, well-crafted horror movie that has a lot of underlying messages and themes. And I don't even want to say too much about it, because, I don't want to say too much about the scenes that creep me out, because the best way to view them is to just watch them and just be, to let them affect you, because this movie is one of the only movies in recent memory that has legitimately creeped me out. There are so many creepy elements to this, and it just all works so well, and I'm glad I saw it, and you should all see it too. Coming in at number 6, we got a fun movie, one of the most fun movies in recent years, the only movie that I have watched this many times in a row in a long time. Seriously, I think I'm at 12 times in a row since I picked it up on Blu-ray, and that's important for me. We got Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a movie that just knew what fun was, and it went the full mile with it. I don't think there's been a movie that's just this... It's fun. That's the only way to describe it. It is so fun, and that's why I love to rewatch it so many times. The characters are memorable and funny. The movie just looks beautiful. Let's get that out of the way. And it has so many good elements going for it that it's just impossible to ignore. And I knew if I didn't put it on this year-end list, I would really be doing myself, and I'd just be doing something a disservice, because this is a fun movie. This is a great movie. I love watching it. I'm going to watch it a bunch of more times, and it really deserves a place on this list. And so that's why it's on this list, because that's how things work. At number 5, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I hate when people cheat on lists, but hear me out on this one. These movies came out around the same time, are about the same subject, are based off books that have the same title, have similar themes, and have similar color palettes. You tell me if it's not okay to put these two movies together in this spot on the list. Yeah, that's what I thought. And so for number 5, I have Enemy and The Double, 2 movies about doppelgangers that both turned out to be really good, despite actually being really different, despite the similar subject material. One is a dark comedy that utilizes a lot of older film techniques, and one is a very modern movie that feels like a horrible nightmare, and it sticks with me even now. And these 2 movies I did enjoy equally, despite the fact they were so different. One is a better made movie, and I think one is a more enjoyable movie, for my taste at least. I believe Enemy is more enjoyable, where I believe The Double is better made, but I like both of them equally in their own right. Both are very good movies that have very great performances by the leads, and I have to say, Jesse Eisenberg, I really had no opinion on him as an actor, but after seeing The Double, he can act. Yeah. And, Jake Gyllenhaal, of course, in The Enemy gave a great performance, which, I've already talked about, and I just really loved both of these movies. I don't know, I really like the concept of doppelgangers, so I guess that did something for me. But these are both really great movies, and obviously that's why I put them here, and if you haven't seen them, which you probably haven't because they were very, very small releases, you should go check both of them out, because they were both really, really good. I mean, they're not for everybody, but... most things aren't. At number 4, we got one of the best movies of the summer, if not the best, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this is a movie I was unsure of going into, even as much as I liked the movie that came before it. I don't know, something just threw me off, and man, that was not the right feeling to have, because, wow. Wow. This movie is awesome. It was great to see, a summer blockbuster that had this much, thought and time put into its characters and its story and all of that. It was really refreshing to see, and I was really happy that I did see it. This is another movie that I've rewatched several different times, but for a different reason than, say, Guardians. Because Guardians was a fun movie, whereas Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I would say, is a great movie. Like, just the themes it works with and the way it does its characters. It's not necessarily fun, because, it's a war, pretty much. So there's not really too much fun about that, but it is just done so well that it warrants, praise, and it warrants rewatches, and it's just a really great movie, and I was really happy I saw it. It definitely upped it up, it upped the stakes from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and it created a really, really great movie, and I'm happy I saw it. And, of course, if you haven't seen it, you should see it too, the drill by this point. Number 3, we got another movie that maybe not a lot of people saw, but I thought was expertly done, Under the Skin. Now, this is clearly not a movie for everybody. This movie has very little dialogue. It's very hard to determine what's going on if you're not paying attention at times. It's not a movie you can watch with just, base level, like you can't just watch it while you're doing other things. You have to, sit down and you have to watch this movie and you have to think about it, and that's the type of movie it is, but it's a good movie, so I'm okay with doing that. There are plenty of parts in this movie that are just very haunting in the way they're portrayed. So many aspects of the film work together to create what I would call a new 2001, because there are just so many similarities you could draw between the two films, and personally, I like this movie more than 2001. I know it's a classic. But this movie could become a new classic. I believe this is the type of movie that's going to be watched and discussed for years to come. And it totally warrants that, because it just is a really good movie. It is really well filmed. It is really well crafted. So many elements fit together so well in it. And it creates one of the most memorable movies of recent years. It gives such a... It's so good. And it's so disturbing. And that's why I love it. And number 2, we got the only movie that came out this year that I could successfully say was really, really long and kept me thoroughly engaged throughout every single second of its runtime, and that is David Fincher's Gone Girl. Now, I was looking forward to this movie as soon as I found out David Fincher was making another movie, and it was going to be called Gone Girl, and it was going to be this. But, even with that, I really didn't know what to expect going into the movie, and let me tell you, whoa. This movie is great. This is the only movie this year that could have this long a runtime. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes or around there. And it's the only movie that could have this long a runtime and keep me that interested from start to finish. There was not a single second that I was not glued to the screen. This is a fantastically done movie. And that's something David Fincher is very good at. He's very good at making long movies that keep you interested throughout, because you're always trying to find out the next piece to the puzzle in this movie, and you're always theorizing, like you're put in the place of the public, pretty much. Like, you're seeing this event as it's unfolding, and you're left to make up your own assumptions about it, and so you are constantly engaged trying to guess what's really going on and what's really happening in this whole scenario, and I really love that. And the things it says about the way media portrays certain people, and, just the way certain things happen in our world, and they're not necessarily the way things should happen in our world, just the way it talked about all that was really well done, and it combined that with great performances from Ben Affleck and a really great performance from Rosamund Pike. Hell, I even liked Tyler Perry in this movie. I liked Tyler Perry in this movie. I liked Tyler Perry in this movie. Do you know how hard that is for me to say? So many elements about this movie just came together, and it really worked, and I'm really glad I saw it. I cannot wait to buy it on Blu-ray, because I'm going to watch it again and again and again and again, because it's awesome. But all those movies have to, they had to find some place on the list. I knew they had to be pretty high, and, I'm glad I saw all of them and I had to put them on this list. But there was only one movie that came out this year that I would consider absolutely flawless. This is a movie that I don't often say this about movies, because I believe every single movie has their flaws, but this movie, there is not a single thing wrong with this movie in my eyes. It is so well crafted, it is so well shot, it is so well edited, it is so well acted, that I cannot find a single fault in this movie. And I have tried, people, to think of something that's wrong with this movie, and I honestly cannot do it. And that movie, my number one pick for 2014, is Birdman. This movie is so well done. And I know I've said that about so many movies on this list because it is a top 10 list. Obviously, I'm going to think they're all well done, but this, like I said, is the only movie that I would consider absolutely flawless. There is not a single thing wrong with this movie. The performances by Michael Keaton, Edward Norton, Emma Stone, everybody does a great job. There is no weak link here, and the whole way it's done it's for those of you who don't know, it's edited to look like the whole movie. The entire movie is just a single shot, and you honestly can't tell. You could pick up where you think the cuts would be, but you could honestly never tell where the cuts actually happen, and that is astounding. Just the fact that somebody would think that this is even possible and then actually go into the steps of doing it, that is insane, and I am surprised it worked, and I'm very happy it worked, because this is just, it's one of the elements that makes this movie so great. And you know, I honestly, I don't even know what else to say about it. It is flawless. It is a truly flawless movie, and I almost never say that, because most movies have their flaws, but I honestly cannot find one in this film. If you have not seen this movie, which is understandable because it's still only playing at a few places, you should find a way to go see it. You should definitely check this movie out, because it is just astounding. It is fantastic. It is worthy of the number one spot. And I knew that the second I finished watching it. So there you go. That was my top 10 list. Now, it was fun, but I'm really glad that's over, I'm glad that I don't have to do a year's worst films top 10 list.